we do.
Do we have everybody? I don't know. My name is Jeanette, and as you guys probably already know, you'll see me around like everywhere, and usually with a high school student in tow somewhere. And so I actually, you may not know me because I don't live in Marshfield. I actually live down the road, down I-44 over here to Springfield. So I have been teaching the IEW classes here for a couple years, and before that I taught IEW in other co-ops, and my first IEW class was in 2009. Yeah, 11? No, 9, I think. So if you have any questions as we go along or afterwards, feel free to ask me or the person that is going to be teaching your child's class. So we're all very friendly here. We're very happy to help if we just know what to do. So IEW stands for the Institute for Excellence in Writing. It's compiled by a man named Andrew Pudewa, and he's a very cool guy. If you ever have a chance to hear him speak. He compiled this after seeing it taught in the Canadian frontier in very small, like 1-room, 2-room schoolhouses. So, this is what we use at the Pursuit, and we're very fond of it for many reasons. It is inexpensive to teach, and it's very easy to do at co-op and then go around and do at home. So, this year, we are using these books. Bible Heroes for the very youngest beginners, about 3rd grade-ish. There will be 4th graders in there, whatever. It's more of a beginner level than a grade level. So the beginners are using a Bible Heroes book. The elementary, middle class is using All Things Fun and Fascinating. And the advanced and the junior high classes are using this book here, Ancient History, and it has Pharaoh on the cover with King Tut over there. So those are the books that you need. This is the only book that you need for writing, are these books, depending on whatever age you have. And these 2 books we use every year. So if you have one of these books, you may be able to use it in the future. But we do change the upper grades to reflect whatever history we're doing for that year. So, IEW, like I said, has been around a while. IEW, what is it? Well, IEW addresses the writing aspect of language arts. So, it does not address so much other areas of language arts. So at home, I don't know what you're doing for language arts, but IEW does not teach phonics. It does not teach penmanship, handwriting. It does not teach spelling. Come on in if you want. It does not teach grammar so much. I mean, those things are kind of in there, but it's not a primary text for that. So whatever you're doing at home for these things, for phonics, for spelling, I would keep doing them. And if you need some recommendations, I'm glad to give it. Mostly IEW teaches the writing aspect of language arts. IEW does have a series called, what is it called? Fix It Grammar, that does go into more of the grammar aspect. But we are going to, at co-op, only be doing the writing portion. IEW is different than other curriculums in that it teaches through imitation. It teaches through imitation. And so, unlike other writing programs, first day your student comes in, we're not going to say to them, oh, write about something. Pick a topic, any topic. No, they don't do that. What IEW does is it gives them a source text. And you'll see these in your books. It gives them what they're going to write about. This is the paragraph we're going to write about today. And it teaches them by imitation. It teaches the students to read through it, pick out the most important things, and to summarize. And from that, they rewrite the story in their own words. And that's where we start. Now, there are some more creative assignments later on down the road, but this is where we start. And all classes will start with this. And so IEW teaches through imitation, imitating what good authors have done. And so by doing this, they learn what the English language should look like on paper. Right. So IEW teaches through repetition. All students will have this assignment the first year. This is the cool thing about IEW. Every year, you will go through the same types of assignments. Now, a third grader is going to be on a much smaller scale than junior high. The older kids will go quicker, they'll go faster through the material, and they'll go more in depth. But they will cover the same units every year. So next week when we come in to IEW, all students will be reading a source text and making a keyword outline. And from that keyword outline, they will tell their own story. Third graders will do this. Junior high, high school will do this, or however up we have. They will all do the same lesson. So if you don't get something this year and you think, I don't know if we really caught that, it's okay, because next year you will get some of this again. So you really don't have to worry about completely having everything nailed down, because it is somewhat repetitious. Older students are challenged a little more, but they do very well. By the time we get done, it is firmly like in their brain, these concepts that we're about to teach them. So IEW teaches through clear, step-by-step instructions. You will not have to worry. What do we do? What do we do next? No, it's all laid out very clearly. And so if there's any confusion, you can contact your teachers, and they will help you, but there's no like, what do I write next? What do I do next? I don't know. And that is really a big thing for a lot of kids, because like, you know, making that decision, what do we write about? That can really derail a lot of people. So IEW has been proven to work for students of pretty much every age, ability, aptitude. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But, oh good. So, I let my screensaver come on. I have this, I don't think this will play. I'm not on the internet. Okay, I have a short little video that I may post that in our group later, but it shows Andrew Pudua explaining this more in detail. So when your kids come in next week, they are all going to be doing the same assignment. And so a lot of parents look at these books and they're like, wow, there's a lot in here. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. No, it's okay. If third graders we can teach third graders to do this, I'm pretty sure we can. So it's okay. So we're just going to jump in and we're going to try some of this. This is what they will be doing on their first assignment. And it's called Making a Keyword Outline. And I wish you could see that, but we'll watch it later. Okay. We have, first of all, our source material, right? So the kids are given, this is our source material. This is what we're given to write with. So the first thing you want to do is just to read over it and get an idea of what it's about. The Fox and the Grapes. This is an Aesop fable. A hungry fox saw a bunch of ripe grapes. They dangled high up on a vine. He jumped and jumped, but could not reach them. He said, I bet those grapes were sour anyway. So obviously this is more like a beginning source text. It's not a junior high one. And theirs will be a little bit longer, of course, but it's the same concepts. So we're going to make a keyword outline of this. Here are the rules. We're going to read each sentence and we're going to pick out the most important words. No more than 3 words in a sentence. And I say that because this is has very simple sentences. So maybe even 2 is fine. Honestly, if my older class has 4 words, I don't generally yell at them, but we say 3 words at the most. There are some exceptions. 3 words at the most. And you have freebies. So you can use numbers or symbols. Draw a little picture, and those don't count for your 3 words. Okay, that's really all there is to it. Okay, so we have the fox and the grapes. The Roman number 1, that is our first sentence. So we read this. A hungry fox saw a bunch of ripe grapes. What are your 3 most important words in that sentence? What would you say? Hungry, fox. Hungry, fox, grapes. Mm-hmm. Now, when you do this, a lot of times the teacher will do this on the board and the kids will copy down with them, and that's fine. But when you're doing this, you may not necessarily get the same answer as somebody else, and that's okay. I have had kids put down all of the nouns like fox, grapes, bunch, okay, whatever. Some kids will put down all the verbs. Sometimes that helps. Whatever. Just make sure they're the most important words. Don't put a, the, and of. It's not going to really help you. 3 important words. So we got hungry. I don't know if you can see this, but I've got the little picture for the eyeballs. And that's one we use a lot. Hungry. Eyeballs, which means look. Bunch. Grapes. Okay. Next sentence. We write that down. He jumped and jumped. Wait, no, that's not the next sentence. They dangled high upon a vine. What are your 3 important words there? They dangled high upon a vine. So you're probably going to pick dangled high vine. Something like that. Okay. And that's your next sentence. Now, we go on. He jumped and jumped, but could not reach them. What are your most 3 important words in that sentence? Jumped, not reach. Now, you could make this into a little symbol. I just didn't want to do this on my computer, but you could, for not, a lot of times, we'll put the word and we'll put the circle, a little cross through it. We do that a lot. So that is a standard symbol. Other standard symbols would be and, or the stop sign, or an arrow. I draw a lot of arrows in my classes. What's another one I use? Numbers. For these history assignments, a lot of times it'll say 600 BC. So you can write that down. It does not count against your 3 word limit. So numbers are just a big one that don't count.
Did abbreviations count? I can't.
Abbreviations, yes. Abbreviations do not count either. So if you can abbreviate something, yes, thank you. Like Missouri is MO, or USA is USA, whatever. You can abbreviate things. A lot of times, whatever we're writing about, last year we wrote about George Washington. So my kids would go GW, and that gave them an automatic proof. As long as you can look at it and you know what it means. You can look at it later, you know what it means. And some of the kids really get into this, finding a symbol that they can draw, and they're like, draw. And so we're like, no, you have to be able to do it in like 10 seconds. That's all the time we have. So don't get too carried away with it, but they are useful. Okay, so he jumped and jumped, could not reach him. So we have jumped, not, and reach. Okay, next sentence. He said, I'll bet those grapes were sour anyway. And so, what do you think? Sour grapes anyway, or whatever. You notice I put the quote marks here, and that reminds me that the box said this. So, but you wouldn't have to put those in, but it would be up there, up to you. So, I had this to where this would do this on my presentation, but whatever. Once you get this written, you get your keyword outline done. Then you take away the source text, put it away, and you say to your child, now, using these words, can you tell me the story back? Use these words to remind you what it was about, and see if they can do it. And by the way, this is a really good technique with kids of any age, is to ask them to read something and then to ask them, what was that about? Tell me, who were the characters in that story? Whatever. But anyway, so just take away the source text and you ask them, do you know what? Remember? Tell me the story. Tell me what it was. And so you will be amazed that the kids can do this. So once they know and can do that, can do it verbally, then you can write it down. And so this is basically the first assignments that you will have. And all IEW assignments are based on the idea of making a keyword outline. They will change it up a little bit as you go through the course, especially with the older kids. They will change it up a little bit, but you have a keyword outline, and from that, you write your work. Okay, and that's basically how it works. And that's really the main thing of what it is to it. Now, once you get your story on paper, then you're ready to have fun. The next thing we do is we're going to add things to it. We're going to dress up our story, and we're going to add things to it. We're going to add good adjectives and ly words and strong verbs. We're going to add these things to our story. Oh, instead of saying the fox jumped, you can say the fox bolted, catapulted up to the grapes, whatever. Unfortunately, there's an ly word. He could not reach them. So we'll be adding these things, and this will be a project for the whole year, by the way. We'll be adding different things. The first lesson, it'll only be adjectives. Second lesson will be ly verbs, ly words, which are adverbs, as we know, but you will eventually, through the course of the year, add all this stuff in. And sentence openers, like putting in a prepositional phrase. And this is why I said it is good for you to go on and teach your kids a little grammar on the side, because they will need to know these parts of speech. A more advanced concept is that we add similes, alliterations. You know, the green grapes glistened in the tree. You know, so that's an alliteration. So they will learn to do some of these things and to add these in their writing. And to, instead of using the word, the grapes look good. Good is actually a banned word in IEW. You'll hear your kids talk about banned words. It doesn't mean they're cuss words. No. It just means that they are not the most descriptive word, and that they could pick words that are better. Good is one of them. Good, pretty, little, big, small. You'll see these in your books. Instead, you can pick words that are more descriptive, like beautiful, gorgeous, lovely, or tiny, minuscule. And so these words make for a much more interesting and exciting paper, because you want that. You want people to read your papers and go, whoa, that was very good. And so convince your children that this will make them sound very smart. And so you can tell the boys that girls really like this. And you can, the girls really like this. Okay. Now, when you get to the end of your assignment, oh, and how exactly will we know what to add in our papers? Well, it'll be in your book for one thing. But at the end of all of your assignments is a checklist. I don't know if you can see that. It's not very good. It's very dark. There's a checklist at the end of your assignments. Every one of them. And this checklist is a list of things that they are supposed to put in your papers. Some of it's pretty simple. Some of it's pretty simple. It's like, do you find them?
But maybe it's in the teacher, oh, there's one, there's one. Okay.
Yeah. So the very first assignments in the beginning, if you have a Bible Heroes book or this fun and fascinating book, the checklist is like this long.
Okay.
So, but it's not a really big, they don't make a big thing out of it in the beginning. But there should be somewhere, I told you.
It just tells you like what they
So,
have.
see, there's an example
Oh,
right
yeah.
there, one. So in the very first couple of assignments, they're like this big in Bible Heroes. My high schoolers last year, I did IEW with high school, and they did a super essay, which was 15 paragraphs, and theirs are pretty lengthy. So this checklist tells you what you should put in your paper, and most of them are pretty simple. It will say things like capital letters. Is the title centered? Do you have proper punctuation? So that's pretty easy. And then it will say quality adverbs or quality adjectives or ly adverb. And there's a little box, and check it off. And if your child puts all of these in their paper, then as far as we're concerned, they've got 100% if they actually do this. Because we're not so much grading on content or is it a really good story or, you know, or even if there's some mild grammatical errors in there. We're not totally going to discount that in the beginning because this is a process they're getting there. So, I don't know, I went to college and I had professors that were like, I really like your paper B. So we won't be doing that. If they meet the checklist, then they have done the assignment 100%. Okay, so this is basically how this works. Now, as they go through the course, it will change a little bit. You can see this. There are 9 different units in IEW total. Now, the young students don't do all of them, but the older kids will. And these units are the same, no matter what IEW book they're in. It's just presented in a way that is appropriate for their age and their level. So, these units are listed in the beginning, very beginning of the book. The first unit, we actually just did the first unit, making notes and outlines, keyword outline. The second one is writing a story from those notes. So we actually did that. Then it starts with retelling narrative stories. And that's where they're going to look at a more fictitious story. And instead of a keyword outline every sentence, they're going to write down the who, the what, where, why, how, and the plot, So they're going to take notes on all of those important W words that your teachers always harp on you about the story. And Unit 4 is summarizing. They get to where they summarize several references, like maybe they have 2 or 3 different references, and they squish it down into one paragraph. Unit 5 is writing from pictures. We don't even give them a source material text or anything. They literally have 3 pictures to write from. One of my teachers said, oh, I hate this one. I don't like to do it. I'm like, no, this is great fun. This is where they get to be a little bit more creative. I'm just gonna find one. I don't know.
I don't know if you're like, I want to take the writing class with the high school students.
I bet you do. Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. This lends itself really well to creative writing. It's just not how we start. So the writing with pictures, and the students are given pictures that they write from. And they make up their own story from the pictures. Again, they use those who, what, when, where, and how words. Let's see.
Is it in the, oh wait, there's one.
Yeah, you'll see them. It's usually in the middle. Here's one. Writing from pictures. Here's 3 pictures, and you make up a story from that. Unit 6 is where they have many references that they're going to read through and summarize. Not all students will do this. Unit 7 is a more creative and inventive writing where they're given, the teacher will suggest a topic, but they have a lot of leeway in what they write about. Unit 8 and 9 are for more advanced students. Unit 8 is writing a 5-paragraph essay, and older students might even write more than 5 paragraphs. Last year in high school, we wrote persuasive essays and expository essays and many types of essays. Don't worry, your 3rd graders will not do that. Unit 9, it says formal critique. That is a formal literary critique. Doesn't that sound really impressive? basically, that's what we would call a book report. And so they are reading a story or a book or something and telling what it's about. So these 9 units, every student, every class has them, although some of the younger students do not do all of them. The younger students will not totally. So, one thing that is good to do in your house is to have a thesaurus, dictionaries, thesaurus, or you can show your kids how to look it up online, I don't care, and encourage them to find different words that might mean the same thing. This is called a synonym. So instead of saying, jumped, they can say catapult or hurdle or whatever. Find different words to say the same thing. Anyway, so some of you have, and it depends on if you buy a used book or a new book, and some of the new books have these pages in the book. But in the beginning of your book, for some of them, it's a blue page, right in there. And there is a document you can download. It's called the Student Resource Notebook, and it is like a giant thesaurus. And some years, we print this off for kids. I don't know that they're going to do that this year. It's like 100 pages. But, yeah. But sometimes, too, in the back of the books, I think All Things Fun and Fascinating is like that. They have word lists and things. Your teacher will talk more about that, probably, however it relates to your class. See, there's your word list. Is that All Things Fun and Fascinating?
Yes.
The newer books are putting it in the back of the book instead of. So just be aware that there are lists. There are lists that the kids literally can look down the list and pick something up. And then if they say, I can't think of a word, here's a list, pick something out. And most of them can do that. Now, here are some tips.
Who took that picture of me?
First of all, for the older students, they will have homework most of